Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we will be exploring Puerto Prinsesa and the plants that they have available in Palawan, Philippines. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. I have made a vacation out into the Philippines, and I just wanted to show a couple more areas where they had all of these beautiful tropical plants. As you can see right here, we've got a variegated African Talisai tree. This was a tree that I saw all over the Philippines when I was on vacation for about 2 weeks. It is a highly variegated plant. It is a variegated plant that can take full sun. I noticed that the variegation did not burn. I was told that this particular tree was quite expensive, and the tree that I'm looking at right now and showing you is actually at Baker's Hill, which is located in Puerto Prinsesa, Palawan, Philippines. I am just excited to show you all what these plants look like, these tropical plants look like in their native habitats. So when we think about all of these big box store plants that we buy from like Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, you know, we have all of these Costa Farms exotic angels, for instance, these crotons that you would find. Notice how massive these crotons are in a tropical environment. Take a look at that papaya tree right there. But I am in awe with all of the crotons that I've seen. You know, a lot of people either love them or hate them. I absolutely love them. I've actually grown to love them even more. And you can see right here, Plant Foldy Luke is with me on vacation, and he's right next to a horse. But as you can see right here, look at this beautiful bougainvillea flower. I love that it has just become a massive, like almost like a tree. Now with bougainvilleas, they require full sun. They definitely need to be in a climate that is a little bit more tropical, definitely likes that full sun. And to get them to bloom, they actually prefer to be more so on the drier side. The reason being is bougainvilleas will produce more flowers when it thinks that it's about to die. Obviously, flowers will reproduce these seeds, or that's what I've read. So that's something interesting of bougainvilleas. Some bougainvilleas are a little bit with thorns. This one doesn't seem to have a lot of thorns on it. And as I spin around this bougainvillea, you can see that there are some variegated hibiscus. Now, my family is originally from the Philippines, and that's the reason why I did take a vacation to the Philippines. We call hibiscus in the Philippines gomamela. I have seen some amazing variegated varieties of gomamela or hibiscus. Look at how beautiful that white cream variegation is. That might be called the variegated hibiscus tailwind in the United States. And then we have this variegated pink form, which is also known as the variegated salsa dancer hibiscus. Both are available to purchase in the United States, and I am based out in North Dallas. I was able to see this at a local nursery called Callaway's, although they were quite pricey for the sizes that they were coming in. But as you notice here, they are a full-blown shrub, almost like a tree. And I love the fact that this variegation is stable. This variegation is also able to withstand the full sun out in the Philippines. I mean, look at this. They've got full-blown white leaves, and they are not burning, they are not crisping up, and I find that amazing. So there were actually a lot of tropical indoor plants that we call tropical indoor plants because they need to be protected from like direct sunlight. But for some reason in the Philippines, a lot of these plants are able to grow in full sun. I'm not sure if it's just because of the humidity or what that looks like, but like right over here, all of these hibiscus, these variegated hibiscus, are actually growing out in full sun. Now for that type of variegation, it is influenced by the amount of light that's provided. So it is a win-win situation for the hibiscus. And then over here is just a regular peach hibiscus that's not variegated. Again, it is a beautiful flower. Some people will use hibiscus flowers as well for like herbal teas, but needless to say, I just love the fact that these variegated plants are definitely thriving in the Philippines. And I know that I haven't been doing a lot of big box store plant shopping videos. I have been focused on my vacation plant content. I just figured that it would be something a little bit different, a little bit more unique than the typical big box store plant shopping videos. But for those that are there for big box store plant shopping videos, have no fear. I will be having very consistent ones daily, ones happening by next week. I just happen to have a lot of these videos that I wanted to point out. I figured that if we are looking at some of our houseplants that we carry in our plant collection, I wanted to show what they look like in mature forms or what they look like in their natural environment. Like right here, This is another part of the Baker's Hill place. This one you can see is they have a lot of these containers of bromeliads. I thought those were really cool. They make like bromeliad domes. And as you walk around here, this is a quite a busy place for a lot of tourists to check around. They also call it Baker's Hill because they have a lot of Philippine pastries that they bake at this hill. This hill is quite a bit of plants. I will try to touch base on a lot of the plants here. The majority of this video will show some plants, but I also wanted to show y'all the journey to get to the Underground River, which is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. So you will see that, and I will also take you alongside with me on my boat ride under the Underground River. So that will be pretty fun. So if you've never been able to get to the Underground River, you'll at least see a glimpse of it. Obviously, it will be a little bit different when you see that in person. But to go back to the plants, look at these beautiful bromeliads again. And you know, the thing about it is, every time I went to like Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot, I always talk about the abundance of like bromeliads. I can see why, because it looks like bromeliads are either easy to propagate, easy to reproduce. They are everywhere, especially in a tropical country like the Philippines. Now, for those that don't know where the Philippines is, it is a Southeast Asian country. It is south of Japan and China, and I just love the fact that it is an archipelago of many islands, thousands of islands actually, and every single island has a lot of biodiversity. Like you can even see here, bougainvillea, variegated form, white blooms. Really love that. And you know, I love bougainvillea. If I were able to grow bougainvillea in my landscape year round, I would totally do it. But again, when it comes to these tropical plants, they don't like cold weather. So in the United States, we really have about 4 seasons. And when it comes to winter, it will just wipe all of these tropical plants out. It never will snow in the Philippines unless there's some type of like climate change or whatnot. But as you can see here, very lush tropical plants. I would recommend going to Baker's Hill for anybody who loves tropical house plants. You can see the forms in a landscape form. And it is a beautiful day out in Puerto Prinsesa when I went on my little city tour. Kudos to our tour guide. She was very knowledgeable. I really appreciate the accommodations we have. And so if you do plan to go to the Philippines, there's a lot of tour packages and they're very inexpensive and they're actually really cost effective, especially if you have United States dollars. When I went to the Philippines, $1 was about 58 Philippine pesos. And when you think about that relatively, some plants were being sold for only 50 pesos. So it was literally under $1. And they were big sizes. They weren't like 3-inch starter planters or anything of that nature, or 2-inch starter planters. But to go back to it, I wanted to show you that they do have some type of juniper or conifer right over here. I was really surprised to see that. And you can see that all of these bougainvillea flowers can be trimmed into different shapes. I've noticed that a lot of the hotels we stayed at actually had like a lot of shrubs that were that look like that. And then you can see over here even more variegated plants, lots of variegated bougainvillea. It is a very common occurrence in the Philippines. Now over in the western part of the world, you know, variegated plants are really sought after. But when I talk to the local Filipinos, they just mentioned that they love plants whether they're variegated or not. It's just really interesting how on the other side of the world we put a lot of importance on variegated plants. I totally get it, because if you were to ask me, I still gravitate to variegated plants. I mean, how can you not love this variegated bougainvillea, especially with the white blooms? A stunning plant. I can imagine my house, which has like white paint trim outdoors to really match that, although it just wouldn't really survive. And then this is one of my favorite plants. This is a Graptophyllum pictum, or a caricature plant. This is a plant that I actually grew successfully a little while back. It ended up becoming like 2.5, 3 feet tall. I had it in a 10-inch container, and then just winter happened and it died. But it would be a plant that I would want to purchase if I could find that again at a local nursery. I love the fact that Graptophyllum pictum is such a beautiful plant, and as it matures, it changes its variegation a little bit more so. And it's another plant that most people would find as an underrated houseplant. I don't think a lot of people are searching a big box store or even a local plant nursery for like the Graptophyllum pictum. But my plant foldies, and if you are new to this channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. I would highly recommend looking at Graptophyllum pictum. They are uncommon, but they're not that expensive either if you're able to find them. Such a easy to care for plant. Now, it is a plant that does require a lot of bright indirect light. Truthfully, if you have a shaded patio area, I would go ahead and just grow it outside or outdoors for until it becomes winter. And then over here is a variegated African Talisai tree. Now, this is a tree that I hope was actually readily available in the United States. Unfortunately, it is not. It almost reminds me of like a variegated Ulmus pulva, or what you would call an elm tree. Beautiful plant. It has this like satellite bowl growth pattern. It actually has that where they're not actually trimmed to that shape. It's just how it grows. So they have just little sections of it. But look at how highly variegated this variegated African Talisai plant is. Now, this is quite an expensive plant, so you could just Google search and see how much an variegated African Talisai plant would be. It would be a plant that I am curious to see if it would be able to grow in the United States, specifically in North Dallas full sun, because as I went around the Philippines, I noticed that these plants were really just, it was just immaculate. Look at how beautiful that variegation is. And I was looking for any burns or any crisping on the leaves, and there were none. I mean, look at how stunning that variegation is. I would really like that. And truthfully, this plant would actually be very conducive to a beautiful Japanese garden, because it does have that nice structural appearance on it, on the branches, and you know, just that layering would be really nice. And then if you notice over here, plant foldies, they've got domes and planters of different types of spider plants. We've got a bunch of bromeliads. I swear these bromeliads are massive. I don't really see them get that large on the other side of the world. And you can see they just have so many different types of plants. What's interesting to note is a lot of these plants, when talking to the locals, doesn't really require a lot of plant care. Again, with them being outdoors, they get all of that natural rain. In July, the Philippines is actually in the monsoon season or the rainy season, so they get quite a bit of rain. I was a little bit concerned that my vacation would have a lot of rain, but honestly, the rain would happen like early in the morning, and then it would be super humid, and then perhaps a little bit of rain in the afternoon. It's not continuous rain all day. So I thought that was really cool. And that's probably what contributes to the Philippines actually having such high humidity. That's the only drawback I would say if you are going to the Philippines, is the fact that the high humidity kind of makes it a little bit uncomfortable in terms of just the heat. But if you can get past that, if you can get past being sweaty, you'll be able to really admire all of these beautiful plants. Like, look at this whole roof full of bromeliads. I really hope that all of my plant foldies will continue to just watch through all of these videos. I know that this content is a little bit different than me walking around a big box store and pointing out plants, telling you their prices. I just really wanted to see what you guys thought about plants in their natural habitat, because at the end of the day, and I've said this in the last 4 videos that I did about the Philippines, is plants are not really indoor plants. They become indoor plants because for the most part, they either can tolerate the lower light conditions, or we have acclimated them. We have kind of mimic the natural environment in our indoor spaces. But for the most part, any plant that you find as an indoor, quote, house plant is actually a plant that was found in the wild somewhere, whether it's from Southeast Asia, Africa, or South America, North America. These plants came from some outdoor source. So that's just something I wanted to put out there. Like, for instance, bromeliads. Truthfully, I don't know if bromeliads are really endemic to the Philippines, but I'll tell you, these bromeliads, look at how massive they are. They are everywhere, and the Filipinos typically use them as ground cover or even statement pieces. A lot of these plants, these massive plants, become statement pieces. It's kind of hard to kind of focus on one, but aglaonemas, for instance, is another plant that is very common in the Philippines. One of my favorite plants. I actually have gotten a newfound love for aglaonemas. I almost fell out of love from aglaonemas because there were a couple of aglaonemas, and it's really because of my fault, where I neglected them and they didn't look as pretty as they used to be. Started to getting a little bit leggy. Some of them just started to die off, and that was my problem. But as you can see here, look at these aglaonemas just growing outdoors. They are definitely living their best life. And then over here, we have some more massive, I think that these are spider plants. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but they are everywhere as well. And look at this massive bird's nest anthurium. Such a gorgeous plant. So like this plant right here, I just would not be able to grow in an indoor space because it's so huge. It's probably like 4 feet in diameter. And then as I pass around here, we've got some agave, and then just looking at all of the other beautiful plants. This one right here, I think is some type of canna lily. And as I pan around here, let's take a look. We've got an orchid, and I told you about like how orchids are epiphytes. They literally just attach themselves, their aerial roots, on some type of trunk. I love showing you the natural environment and how these plants grow. And as you can see right here, these are more bird's nests, these are bird's nest fern, and they are being grown in cocoa peat. So these cocoa chunks, there are different types of soil mediums that they use in the Philippines. They use rice hull, or they use that cocoa peat stuff. And then here is another oyster plant. And when you think about oyster plants, you can actually buy those at a big box store in a much smaller size. I've seen them get even bigger, and I thought that was really interesting because their growth pattern is actually more of like a cane-like, they kind of crawl, if that makes any sense. And you can just see more bird's nest fern. So I didn't realize that bird's nest fern can get this massive. They can become little like chairs for you to sit on. I definitely will add a bird's nest fern because it seems like bird's nest fern are not as finicky as I thought they would be. So, you know, that's the thing. And then look at this massive staghorn fern. So I thought about getting a staghorn fern and actually mounting it on a wooden plank. I see a lot of people doing that, but look at the natural form of a staghorn fern and look at how huge is it. And again, I think that the success of a lot of these tropical plants that are growing in the Philippines is the high humidity, that natural high humidity. When you think about walking around the Philippines, it's kind of like walking into a greenhouse all day, every day, unless you go into an area that has centralized air conditioning. It does take a little bit of getting used to. Now over here, take a look at this. This is Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos. So I talked about how a pothos plant likes to actually attach itself onto like a pole. This one has attached itself onto this little plank right here. And if you notice, look at how large the leaves are. They're larger than my hand. And look at how beautiful that variegation is. As a marble queen pothos actually climbs up, say like a coconut tree or some palm tree, it will get even larger leaves, and the leaves will start to split and fenestrate. So I always say, if you're able to get your plant to mature that way, it is a more cost-effective way to get a plant that looks almost like a Monstera albo. And then over here, we've got some variegated Aralia. Again, this variegation is stunning. And again, this is another plant that I've seen growing out in full sun, and the variegation does not burn. So I don't know what it is, what they do in the Philippines to where these plants do not burn, but I absolutely love the look of it as well. This is another variegated Aralia I would like to get into my collection. The only thing about Aralias is they are sensitive to like drying. If they dry out completely, or their soil dries out completely, it is not a good thing for the plant. They will actually end up just declining in health. And since I am an underwaterer, that is a problem of mine, to where like I am just such a busy body, to where I don't always get to all of my plants, to watering all my plants. But I have made some adjustments since I got back to the Philippines. I decided that the plants that take up a little bit more plant care would just have to not be part of my collection. Some of them I had to compost, and I know some people might think that that is a terrible thing, but if a plant doesn't give you that joy and it's requiring more out of you, it's sometimes better to part. And this plant would definitely give me a lot of joy. Like, look at how massive this staghorn fern is, guys. Plant foldies, what do you guys think of all of these plants? Am I the only one that's just super excited about showing you all of these huge tropical plants growing in their natural environment? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So as always, plant foldies, please leave as many comments as possible. I know I've got a couple of local plant foldies, like Alfred from Canada, thank you for always posting a lot. I saw a bunch of people on the live premiere chat last night, so it made me super happy to start seeing some of our regular plant foldies back on the chat. Hopefully we can have those big plant party chats that we used to have before I went on vacation. So plant foldies, if you know other plant foldies, please let them know I am back from vacation and I am back posting daily new 1-hour plant shopping videos. This week is all about the Philippines though, because look at this. Even this right here, this euphorbia right here, this is some type of ghost type euphorbia. Look at that beautiful gray variegation on it, or that coloration. And look at how tall it is. Like, that is an absolutely stunning piece of work. That is just a living piece of art. And, and I'm glad that I'm able to at least show you this through a camera lens. These plants are even more massive and majestic in person. So again, I do encourage people to really consider maybe taking a vacation to the Philippines. It is cost effective in terms of the pricing for the local area. The only thing that's expensive about the Philippines is actually the plane ticket. And I won't lie, the flight there is quite a long journey. But once you make it there, you will be able to see all of these beautiful plants. The Filipinos are very friendly people, and and I can understand where my family's like hospitality come from. It is really innate in our culture. So same thing with plants. I would say Filipinos are definitely into plants. You can see even here, look at all of these beautiful philodendron rojo congos. Those are huge. And then I just see all of these different types of bromeliads. I always ask in some of my earlier plant shopping videos what the allure or what the interest was for bromeliads. I can totally see why, because when you slow down and think, they have very different nuances and details about their foliage. And even this right here, look at this bromeliad. That is a bromeliad dome. I thought that was super cool. And then there is some type of goose, I think, in that cage. He looks a little lonely. He probably needs to just be let out. Anyways, but there are just different types of plants as we walk around here. One plant that I found interesting is a Dracaena Song of India. Now, at least in the United States, this is a plant that is a little bit more finicky. I have killed about 3 to 4 of these. I used to buy them at like Lowe's or Home Depot, where I'll find them as like a Costa Farms self-watering planter. And for some reason, this plant really does require quite a bit of light. And if it doesn't get the light, it will just drop its leaves and die. But as you can see right here, it is totally thriving. It has become a full-blown tree. It is such a beautiful plant. When it comes to Dracaenas, you would think that all Dracaenas are able to just withstand lower light conditions, being underwatered. That one is on the opposite side of the spectrum, though. It does need consistent watering and it does need quite a bit of light. So that's the thing I learned about plants as well. Just because a certain plant is in a specific genus, it doesn't mean that the care tips are always going to be the same. So you have to do your research on some of your plants. I also wanted to point out these beautiful rock patterns and formations. I love the fact that they've utilized these flat rocks and made little patterns. A really nice way to use more of a natural look to the actual pavement. But as I spin around here, you can see there's still quite a bit of plants. And then this is another plant that I want to try to get a hold of. I want to try to see if I can grow this. My success rate's probably going to be a lot lower, but it's that variegated hibiscus tiliaceus. I think that's what it is. I remember seeing this at a Austin, Texas local nursery. They had a full-blown tree. It is another plant that I would love. They said that to really propagate it, you really need to just take air layerings from it. This one isn't nearly as highly variegated, so I'm going to see if I can actually source or find this out, find out where I can purchase this in the United States. But I just honestly wish plant foldies that I was able to get some of these tropical plants. I just think it was just an amazing experience to see them. Unfortunately, as many plants that I found, as many plants that were inexpensive, that could have saved me a lot of money, I just was not going to be able to take it back to the United States. There are lots of rules and regulations when it comes to the Department of Agriculture. You'll have to have like a phytosanitary certificate. I do own an import license, so I'm able to import plants overseas. I am getting some plants from Indonesia, so I'm super excited about that. But I am not risking trying to take plants on my luggage and paying like a hefty $10,000 fine. It's not worth it, but it is worth looking at these plants and, having something to dream about. Because like even here, look at these syngoniums that are just voluntarily growing. Syngoniums, I would also say in the Philippines, they are more of a plant that is considered a weed. They grow everywhere. You can find them everywhere, and they're not necessarily one of those house plants that you would call a house plant. And then over here, we've got another variegated African Talisai. This is a plant I would love to have in my landscape. Now, I need to do some research to see if, number one, we do sell this plant in the United States, and number two, can this grow in my climate? Because if it's not a deciduous tree, like say this, I'm assuming this is an evergreen tree, is it kind of like a live oak that can withstand the cold? Plant foldies, if you know anything about the variegated African Talisai, please let me know. But we are on our way to Sabang, which is the port that's going to get us to the Underground River in Puerto Prinsesa, Palawan, Philippines. But on our way, we actually stopped at a gas station. And I wanted to show you this. At a gas station, they had a full-blown collection of different types of crotons. Notice that there was one croton that was actually a full-blown tree. And then you can see all of these different types of crotons that they have. They also had a philodendron jungle boogie. Next to it was also an anthurium. But look at how beautiful this croton is. I've never seen crotons this size. The only one I've ever seen was in a well, it actually was in a conservatory. It was actually a local nursery greenhouse that they had a croton for. But look at that. You can see that this croton is quite old. It has already branched out. It's got a thick trunk. So it's pretty much a full-blown tree, like a miniature tree. Really like the look of this croton as well. And it's one of those plants that I just feel like is so finicky when it comes to being grown indoors. At least every single croton I've grown indoors typically drops its leaves. It just doesn't seem happy. But then the moment you bring the crotons outside, they do well. I've been told by many people that crotons are really not a indoor plant or indoor house plant. Although I find it interesting that, for instance, Costa Farms sells them as a exotic angel starter plant in a 3-inch planter. Typically, it's like $5.97 or something around that range. But crotons are really considered a tropical shrub. And I can see that because look at this right here. They do have like a shrub-like form. And eventually, if you put them in a landscape, they end up growing into big, full-blown trees. These are very low-maintenance plants, as I was told by the locals in the Philippines. They literally will just plant them in the ground and Mother Nature will take care of them. I mean, you can see right here, look at this one, has some beautiful yellow coloration. I love that canary yellow over it, and you can see that the leaves are a little bit curling. There are so many different varieties of crotons. There's actually even more interesting, unique ones that you can possibly import. Some of them have pinks and some really deep reds, some yellows, some oranges. The typical croton you'll see in the United States would be like the croton petra. This is one that you wouldn't really see. I don't know the specific variety of this croton. What I do know is it is absolutely stunning. So plant foldies, if you made it this far into the video, let me know what you think so far about, like, say, the crotons or what plants you've seen so far. I think this is just fabulous. It is just really inspiring for me. And I just get super excited to be able to show y'all these plants. I always say that looking at plants, admiring plants is a really good way for like some relaxation and therapy. So I'm hoping that this whole plant shopping video, or this video where I'm featuring plants, is a nice relaxation session for you. I love talking about plants. As you can see, even here, this croton is one that I haven't really seen in the United States. Look at how beautiful this is. And mind you, this is a pretty big croton that's sitting in a planter at a gas station. So it's quite interesting that a lot of these really nice looking plants are just sitting here readily available. Nobody's bothering them. Nobody's trying to take them. They're just living their best life. And that's the theme of all of the plants I've seen in the Philippines, in nature, or even out in a mall, in an urban setting, is that these plants are literally living their best life. It looks like the natural environment that they were given is what has given them such a good growth habit, has been able to get them to thrive. So as you can see here, I would love to have a full-blown like croton collection. That's the thing about me, plant foldies, is I gained this like obsession, whether it's for coleus plants. And by the way, my coleus plants did very well, even though I was overseas. I was really happy that I got a sprinkler system to like water them, but I would love to be able to get some crotons. And so you can see right here, this is the countryside of the Philippines on our way to Sabang, Palawan, which is where the port is to get to that island where the underground river is. But that is the gas station. We stopped to go pick up some more passengers that were going alongside with us. And then I just wanted to walk around here again and show you that they just have a nice little garden display of crotons. Now, plant foldies, let me know in the comments after seeing some of these crotons from the Philippines, if it would be something that you would add to your collection, or are crotons really just not a plant that you would get into? It is quite interesting that there are certain plants that are not universally liked. I would say pothos plants, Epipremnum aureum, are universally liked. A lot of people also love philodendrons, but when it comes to plants like crotons or coleus plants, I feel like it's hit or miss for people. But again, these are nice containers full of plants. Again, I really do think that this is a spider plant, but I could be wrong. So again, plant foldies, let me know in the comments if that is the correct plant ID. I never claim to be an expert, so I'm always learning from you guys as well. And then this one though is a croton gold dust. So this is one of the more common crotons you will find. You could find this at Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot as a Costa Farms Exotic Angels plant for like $5.48. So things like that, $5.48. But you know, this right here, I would even venture to say that this plant, if it were to be on sale, you know, for sale in the Philippines, it'd probably be around the range of like 400 pesos or something like that. You can get some really cost-effective plants. And then you can see right here, this is a philodendron jungle boogie. This one is actually in bloom. Look at how beautiful the serrated leaves are on this jungle boogie. It is another plant that I feel like is also a philodendron that a lot of people do like. And then right next to it is a beautiful anthurium. So I love anthuriums, but I'm not able to really grow anthuriums because they do require a lot of humidity. And as we left the gas station, we went on top of a hill. So we went through the mountainside, and I did want to go pan out and show you how beautiful the landscapes and the jungle is in the Philippines. This is a tropical paradise, and you can see that all of this lush greenery, all of the greenery you will see actually house a lot of these indoor tropical plants that we find in our big box stores. As you can see here, look at how beautiful the sky is, the ocean is, the air was super fresh. And I would hope someday, for those that are watching this video, that you'll be able to make it to this location as well. Again, it's very easy to travel to the Philippines because while it is an Asian country, it is a country that has all of the locals that can speak and understand English. So you'll never have to worry about a language barrier. All of the writing is also written in English. So it's a win-win situation. And if you love tropical plants, you've got to go to the Philippines. Like, I know that I am becoming a big ambassador for like tourism in the Philippines. Go for the people, go for the plants, go for the scenery, go for relaxation. It is a destination I would highly recommend. And you can see that that scenery was beautiful, and you can see that this cordyline is just growing out of the ground, as well as this Dieffenbachia right over here, next to some type of variegated plant that I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it's just kind of growing on its own. And you can see right here, we've got some compact cordyline plants. Love that dark foliage right here. So I would love to be able to grow these compact cordyline plants. Obviously, they don't get too large. As they mature, they do get a little bit leggy because that's really the natural habit of these plants. You can see right here, as it gets a little taller, it does get a little bit more leggy, but you can see how beautiful this compact cordyline is. And it's just growing out in the middle of the wilderness. There's just like a little spot here here where there is some development, but for the most part, these are just plants that are naturally growing out in the wild. And I absolutely love that. Again, I have to reiterate that a lot of the tourists that we were with were looking at me crazy because I was literally filming and just gawking and just in awe of all of these plants. Like look at this right here. You've got some type of variegated marantha that I've never seen with white variegation, and then this massive philodendron, which I'm not 100% sure what it is. I don't know if this is like a philodendron red emerald, but it looks like a very vigorous grower, and it has literally attached itself and made it into just a massive plant on this dead tree stump right here. You can see that the aerial roots have really attached to the trunk, and that's how you can get the massive leaves. Epiphytes or these philodendrons that need a moss pole, that's really why they need a moss pole. In nature, they like to attach to trees, and you can see that all of these aerial roots are everywhere. You could literally take a cutting from this and possibly get yourself a couple of new plants, or actually several new plants. Obviously, you don't want to do that, but in terms of just how many free plants you can get in the Philippines, just go into the jungle and you will find them. And you can even see here, they've got some croton plants. Here is some more croton plants, because I know that plant foldies, I've shown y'all a lot of these plants in like landscaping, but this is really more of a natural environment where they're just literally growing. I doubt anybody's coming out here with a hose or fertilizer or anything of that nature. These are plants that are literally growing out in the wild. And that again reaffirms the fact that besides the plant care that we always talk about, especially when I talk about them during my big box store plant shopping videos, what always trumps all of these plant care tips is just the natural environment. If you can provide a plant in its natural environment, if it's a native plant, there's very little plant care that it's needed because Mother Nature will take care of it. I mean, you can even see right here, there's just so much greenery here. You can see that there's some alocasia that just popped out of nowhere and is growing. And then you have all sorts of like vining plants everywhere. You've got banana trees, you've got palm trees, you've got coconut trees, just all sorts of different types of tropical trees here. And then as you go pan around, you can even see that there are some anthuriums, some begonias growing in the landscape. So quite interesting, and it's even more interesting that a lot of the locals don't pay attention to it. I think it's just an everyday occurrence for them. But for me, this is definitely not what I see when I live out in North Dallas. A lot of our landscapes are very manicured. We have, beds, and we have a lot of mulch for all of these beds. But this right here, it's literally a jungle. I mean, you can see here, this is just a random papaya tree that just grew out of nowhere. And then we also have some mangrove trees right over here. But the view is just absolutely stunning. One thing I'll mention is that there is quite a bit of like stray dogs here. You can see that there are a lot of mixed dogs. That's something that kind of made me a little bit sad because we just had so many dogs that needed to be taken care of. But otherwise, look at this right here, this philodendron. I just can't get over it. I do think I have this philodendron. Look at how massive it is. Look at all of those aerial roots. Look at all of the nodes you can possibly cut from and create a new one. But as you can see, it has literally wrapped itself around this dead tree stump. So, instead of having a dead piece of wood, it has now become a lush, beautiful philodendron that can just really house itself on it. And you can see that they've got even caladiums that are just naturally growing voluntarily, as well as this beautiful marantha that I didn't really know was a marantha. I had to do a little bit of plant ID research. I wish that was actually available because I do like the albo white variegation it has. And obviously that croton is doing very well. And crotons, we always talk about how they need bright light. This one is actually under shade, and it is still doing very well. So again, I suppose it's just really that natural climate, that natural environment that it's placed in that really helps the plant grow to its full potential. Now, plant foldies, let me know what you think in the comments again of what plants you see. Would you travel to the Philippines? Do you want to see more content like this? I really want to know your thoughts, so please leave that in the comments. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button. I mean, how can you not like this video when you're seeing beautiful croton like this? So we have made it to the pier, and at that point we are waiting to get on a ferry boat to get to the island, which houses the underground river. But for now, you can just see that this is just another random croton that has been growing, and it is so beautiful. This is, I believe, the croton gold dust. You know, crotons are somewhat similar in what they look like. I just love the coloration. And as you pan around here, you can see that there are several boats. I love the fact that the Philippines is making an attempt to be more green in terms of their trash. So they have a lot of recycling. They like to compartmentalize what type of trash that they have so they can recycle it. I do think that this either is some type of ficus tree or a mangrove tree. So again, plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you know that plant ID. But this is a very common plant that you would see closer to the ocean. But you can see there are quite a bit of people already waiting to get into a ferry so we can, you know, ride to the underground river. I am going to take you underneath the underground river. I wanted to see if you guys wanted to come alongside with me. Hopefully, plant foldies, you won't swipe away, skip away. Hopefully you are still watching this video, because there's just a lot of pride and joy to be able to showcase the beauty of my home country, which is the Philippines. And you can see there is a little bit of cloudiness coming around, but needless to say, the landscape is still absolutely stunning. I can't tell you how the actual camera or the video doesn't do the actual landscape justice. You actually have to be there to breathe in the fresh air, the nice sea breeze. It is just stunning, and you can see how clean this water is right over here. So Luke and Isaac and I are on this ferry boat alongside with everybody else that we traveled with to the Philippines. Look at how beautiful this scene is right here. So you actually, in order for you to get to the underground river, you do have to take a ferry boat. And I will say, the day we decided to go see the underground river has been closed for 3 days. So there were quite a bit of tourists. Typically, the underground river is not closed, only for 3 days. And that's really for the underground river to get some type of rest from tourists. But you can see how clear and beautiful the water is. I've actually been able to swim in that water, and it is nice and warm. There aren't any crazy waves, and it's just a beautiful place to go. So again, plant foldies, if you are gonna visit the Philippines or you want a tropical destination, highly recommend the Philippines. I mean, how can you not love a country that has such beautiful waters like this? Look at that beach right there. I could just lay out and chill, and look at over here. This is just so beautiful. So we're almost to the actual island with the underground river. So you can see we just landed on the shore. Look at how beautiful the sand is, white sand beach. Look at how beautiful this scenery is right here. It is another one of those nature sanctuaries. And it's interesting because even though this is a heavily tourist area, the area is still super clean. I love the fact that the local government has really protected it. One thing, for instance, is you could not have any type of plastic or water bottles brought onto this island. So that's that is a plus. And then in terms of just moving around, you can just see that it's absolutely clean. They try to keep it as natural as possible. You can see there is quite a bit of different types of greenery right over here. So this is the Underground River. This is a World Heritage Site. It is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. And then you can see right here, they have those monkeys. And I will say you have to be aware of these monkeys, because if you have your cell phone out, a backpack open, they will take your stuff and run off. One of the people that traveled with us actually dropped his bag and on the ground to take a picture, and one of the monkeys ran into his bag, pulled out one of a banana and ran off with it. So you have to be really mindful about these monkeys. Even though they look super cute, they can attack you. So you have to be careful not to get too close to them, because at the end of the day, they are not domesticated animals. Although the local government says do not feed them, because as tourists have fed them, they have become a little bit more domesticated, in a sense that they rely on humans to feed them versus them actually going out into the wild and getting their food. So just some more tidbits about it. But as you can see right here, we are walking through a pathway through a forest, and you can see all of these natural tropical plants here. I would venture to say that some of these tropical plants have made it into a big box store. And that's really the theme. And that's the reason why I kind of wanted to merge my content, because we think about all of these plants that we see at a local nursery or a big box store like Walmart. But sometimes we don't slow down to think to say, where did these plants originally come from? Well, I can tell you that some of these plants have come from like the forest or jungles of Southeast Asia, specifically the Philippines. But you can see all of this lush greenery here. There was a lot of wildlife. Aside from that, they had some really large lizards and things of that nature. But it was really quite exciting just to walk through this path. And that's the thing about these natural wonders, is it's not so touristy, in a sense that it's not overly developed. You still just have to go through a path to get to that underground river. And I did want to take a little bit of time, plant foldies. I know that I'm not focusing nearly as much on the plants, but in terms of this YouTube channel, I do utilize a lot of my plant shopping videos as almost like a personal blog. I like to talk to you guys, and so hopefully if you are on a live premiere chat, we are chatting away. Or if you are watching this as #team replay, please leave your thoughts in the comments. Again, I really love that engagement. It brings me so much joy. And you can see right over there, that is Plant Foldy Luke. He is showing you this really interesting lizard right here. Look at how massive this lizard is. It is just living its best life. There's hundreds of people walking around, but for some reason it is not startled. So that's one thing that is really interesting when it comes to like wildlife. Sometimes like wildlife just becomes a little bit more accustomed to human beings. You can see Luke is just having a good time here. I'm just really glad that I think he is my number one supporter in life. He is made the trip down here with me, as well as Isaac and some of my other family members. But you can see right here, that is the entrance of the Underground River. It is going to take a little while for us to get, it did take us a little while to get on one of the boats because there was quite a bit of people. I think it was like a good 30-minute wait, but I was able to take photos with my friends. I was also able to get a little bit more content here. So as you can see, they have these really big trees here. These are what you call mangrove trees, and a lot of mangrove trees are actually very beneficial because they provide shelter from like tsunamis. They also provide a way to where there's not going to be a lot of mudslides or landslides. It really does help with that. But you can notice how beautiful and clean the water is over here. That is why I believe that in terms of protecting the environment, we really have to protect it, because if you are able to protect the environment, you will see beauty, the natural beauty of an untouched environment that really wasn't polluted by human beings. You know, a lot of us, I think we are probably the worst parasites when it comes to the environment. We just produce so much carbon, emissions. We produce so much trash. And when you think about just the efforts of the local government in Puerto Prinsesa to really protect this area, you can see the fruits of their labor, because this is just absolutely stunning. So plant foldies, let me know what you think about what you see so far. Would you go to the underground river? Highly recommend it. And so I'm just going to walk around and kind of show you what what the scenery looks like right over here. And you can see that there are some people coming back from the underground river. I am super excited. This would be my second time going to the underground river. I went to the underground river about 10 years ago, and I knew that I needed to come back here and bring some of my friends so they can experience it. My description of being in the underground river, it's a very spiritual journey. There's just a lot going on, even though it is almost like complete darkness. But when you're in there, it's just, there's a certain level of tranquility that you get. And the fact of the matter is, it is such a massive natural wonder in the world. You got to think that the underground river was created millions and millions of years ago by nature. So that's the thing. But as you can see here, these are some more mangrove trees. And for what our tourist guide said is actually this mangrove tree was actually just one massive tree that broke off, and it just pretty much like spread itself all over this island. And you can see right here, so this part on the left or on the right is actually the fresh water hitting the ocean. Right over there, the salt water. So right in the middle is where you have that brackish water where it's like salt water and fresh water. This side right here is fresh water right here. I'm coming from that subterranean river, that underground river. And then on the other side on the left is where the ocean is. But you can see that there's just a lot of people going in and out of this underground river. You can see the natural beauty of this place. It's definitely a place where you can take some beautiful photographs. So I'm just going to keep walking around and showing you the tranquility of this area. Again, let me know in the comments what you think about the scenery right here. Hopefully you're enjoying this content. I'm such a fan of just how beautiful and clear this water is. So you can see that this water right over here we're looking at is clear water, and look at how just the sand is nice and clear. There's just a beautiful like emerald green tint to the water. Again, this is even more impressive in person, but for those that are not able to travel to the Philippines, I did want to show you this. And you can see some of our the people we went with, they're just taking photos. But again, these are those massive mangrove trees. That is something that is quite common on the shores of the Philippines. It's all over many of the islands, and it is a beneficial tree because it does provide shelter for many of the natural animals that live in there. I know fireflies will stay there as well. And you can see that this one is actually in bloom. It's got some white flowers, so I thought that's really interesting. And mangroves, they are usually in a tropical area. I believe they have some in Florida, USA. But as you can see right here, this mangrove tree is absolutely huge. It has spread all over and has had branches break off, and it propagates itself. There's just a lot going on, and you'd be surprised about how many monkeys are just kind of wandering around there, how many of those lizards are just wandering around there, and all sorts of other types of wildlife. I really do like the fact that the underground river, this area is not highly developed with structures. It's literally just a forest or a jungle, however you want to call it, and you can just really enjoy the natural environment of it. They call Puerto Prinsesa or Palawan as one of the last frontiers of the Philippines. I would venture to say that it is one of the cleanest places in the entire Philippines. I mean, take a look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. You could just lay out here and just really enjoy the sound of the ocean. It's not really chaotic, the nice little breeze that we have, and it's just beautiful. I can't tell you how happy I am to have been able to go to the underground river, and it just brings me a lot of joy, plant foldies, to be able to take you alongside with me. You know, I've been given feedback before that whenever I go big box or plant shopping, it's kind of like me and you hanging out. And so if you ever feel lonely, or if you ever feel like you need somebody that to talk to, just play one of my videos. I love to talk, and maybe you and I can go on a vacation together, because it would be a lot of fun. I am excited that we are going to be meeting a lot of our plant foldies at PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas on August 31st, September 1st. I did get the early bird tickets because I do intend to, film tons and tons of plant videos there. So, you'll check me out. I know that there's quite a bit of y'all going to the meetup. So I'm going to figure out a way on where we can all meet up, or how you can find me. But anyways, I'm just going to keep panning over here and showing you all of this beautiful scenery. I just can't get over how clear and beautiful the water is in Puerto Prinsesa. I was able to actually swim in this water, and it's just fabulous. So again, plant foldies, what do you guys think about this beautiful scenery? And just look at these mangroves right over here. So this is actually a very common plant that you can see alongside of the seashores of most of like Palawan or in the Philippines. They are beneficial in a sense that they do prevent mudslides, and really do have protection from any large waves or tsunamis. And so they have quite a bit over here. There is quite a bit of biodiversity when it comes to the wildlife. You did see that there were a lot of like monkeys over there. They also had those lizards, and then you can just see right here like they even have some type of fern or some type of plant here. Notice how the dead leaves actually look almost like they're fossilized. I really like the look of that, and you can see that it is all over this mangrove tree. When we were waiting for our turn to get to actually see the underground river, I did spend just quite a bit of time walking around, really soaking in nature. And you can see that in a tropical country, these are plants like these different types of ferns that could potentially end up being at a big box store as a house plant. So it's just really interesting, the origin of a lot of the plants that we find at a big box store like Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot. So let me know what you guys think, plant foldies, about what you're seeing so far, if this is the kind of content you want to see. I do have a couple more videos that I will feature from the Philippines, and then I will go back to my original content, which would be big box store plant shopping. I know you guys miss it. I miss going into big box stores as well to do some filming, to show you what plants they have available. I know that I was actually at a HEB not too long ago when I got back from the Philippines. I did see that they had a bunch of like philodendron strawberry shakes. So I'm going to see if I will be lucky to find some Costa Farms Monstera Thai constellations. I know that they had a couple of releases while I was away at this beautiful country. And we'll see what that looks like. But I'm going to go ahead and just keep panning around and showing you what like what kind of plants they have, as well as just how beautiful the water and just the scenery is over here. So we are finally on our boat heading into the entrance of the underground river, and I'll tell you, the adrenaline we felt was just really, there was just a lot of excitement to go into such an amazing place. I remember 10 years ago how wonderful it was, but you can see over here, look at all of that beautiful, all of the beautiful plants that are just surrounding that cliffside, housing this underground river. Now, the underground river, they told us when we were walking, you were not walking, but actually going inside the underground river, is that we were not really allowed to talk or open our mouth because they had a bunch of bats. They had dripping water that could potentially have some not so good bacteria. So they just said that at all costs, make sure that we kept our mouths shut, so that way we wouldn't like ingest any of the liquids that may fall from the rocks. So that was really interesting. So it was really complete silence when we walked in. I keep saying walked in, but when we were entering the underground river, this is a place where I would say has a lot of biodiversity. You can see that there are a ton of bats that are just going in and out of there. There's a bunch of actual birds that will also go there. There are a lot of different types of sea creatures, or just fish that are also in the underground river. And that's the thing about the underground river, is there's still so many places in the underground river that are being discovered. There's a lot of different types of species that are still being discovered. So it is a natural wonder for sure of the world. And you can see, as I am going in here, I was actually sitting at the very front, and like I said, it is just really interesting to showcase this underground river. It does get a little bit darker, but there is a spotlight that our tour guide had, so you'll see a lot of the different types of rock formations. Hopefully you will appreciate this. As always with all of my plant foldies and viewers and subscribers, I like to take you on the journeys that I go on, and you can see that there are just different types of rock formations. You can see that there's water dripping right here. It was definitely a lot cooler when we went in there. So you can see there are tons and tons of bats that are just flying around. So they also said that you have to watch out for, bat feces just falling on you. Luckily, none of that happened to us when we were actually in the underground river. But plant foldies, let's take you guys alongside the underground river. So I'll kind of stop with my commentary for a bit and just kind of let you soak in what I ended up experiencing when I went under the underground river. You can see there are different compartments of the underground river. So we're just going into different sections. Notice that there is a boat that is leaving that the underground river. They're on their way back. I just think this is amazing, and just the history behind the underground river, to imagine that this all exists alongside a cliffside and all of the biodiversity that it has. And this is a reason why, if you ever do make it to the Philippines, I would highly recommend going in here. Now, getting this on film is not nearly as impressive as actually being in there, because you can hear me talking, and when we were there, it was complete silence. You could just hear water dripping, and then you can just hear like the bats fluttering around. And don't worry, these bats are not going to suck your blood or anything of that nature. They are not going to hurt you. You know, some people, whenever you think of bats, they always think that there is that, you know, that scary horror feeling. It was just really interesting that there was just so many bats. And you got to think that this actual cave is completely dark. The only reason why there is light is because we do have some light that's shining through here. But as you can see, there's just a lot of bats, and even just the rock formations are phenomenal. When I asked the tourists, the tour guide, how many people will see the underground river on an average basis, they say between 700 people on a daily basis. So you can just imagine how many people have seen this underground river. You can see that certain parts just get extremely dark. So plant foldies, let me know what you think so far of what you have seen so far on the underground river. and this is the part where they call it the cathedral area. This is the part with the biggest rock formations here. So it is a little bit dark, but if you were actually in the boat looking at it, you can see that there are just some phenomenal rock formations. Just the history again around the underground river, it's just amazing. And the fact that it still looks about the same after 10 years, it's just mind-boggling for me. You can see that one rock formation right there. They did have different names for these rock formations. They were more of like a religious type of a reference. Unfortunately, I don't remember them. I wish I'd have taken some notes down, but you can see even over here, look at that that rock over here. hopefully plant foldies have kept your engagement by just taking you alongside this amazing underground river. Again, it was just one of those places where it was a very spiritual experience for me, being super quiet and just listening to the water dripping, and then just us going through all of these magnificent rock formations was quite a feat for me. Like, I've never really experienced something like this in nature. We are on our way back to outside, but I did want to just kind of show you how it looked as we were coming back to light. You can see that we are about to exit the underground river. I am so happy that I actually took the trip here, and I was around a lot of my friends. Some of them have never seen this before, and so I'm glad that they were able to experience it. And plant foldies, whether this is just a digital form, I hope that you were able to stick around and at least see the beauty of the underground river. This is definitely one of the natural wonders of the world. I am super proud that it is in the Philippines, and that the Philippines has tourist attractions like this. We definitely took care of the person who was our tour guide, who was actually rowing the boat. He does that at least 8 times a day for several tourists, and I can just imagine how tiring it would be to do that on a day-to-day basis. And now that we're back on the main island, we are getting ready to go get some lunch, but I did want to just continue to show you how all of these tropical plants, these house plants that we have in our houses, just grow so well in the Philippines. You can see there's just a plethora of different types of plants. We've got some bougainvilleas, we got some mangrove lilies, we've got some alocasias, we've got some croton plants, and they're just out and about. And if you notice right there, there is even a variegated alocasia just in front of a restaurant is what I meant to say. Look at how beautiful that variegation is, and look at the epipremnum aureum or golden pothos that are in a mature form. Look at how large the leaves are since they've attached themselves on the actual pillars. And you can see right here we've got some cordyline plant that's beautiful, as well as a beautiful croton plant. So really love the look of these plants. It's one of those things that unless you are in a tropical country, you will never really see these plants get this large. I can't stress to you enough, plant foldies, how I'm just excited to show you this kind of content. Hopefully I'm able to engage you guys and actually keep you guys interested. I just felt the need that it is important to show you what the natural environments are for some of these plants that we see. Like, if you think about it, these are all croton plants that you could potentially buy at the big box store like Lowe's or Home Depot. I know Costa Farms releases them in 3-inch starter planters, but you can see how they look when they're grown as almost like a tropical shrub, different types of colors. And for the most part, most of the locals or the Filipinos just kind of walk by it as if it was just a normal thing. But for us plant lovers, we will just be in awe. Like, I was in awe of this type of, I'm assuming this is some type of palm, but look at how highly variegated it is. We ended up driving to a Filipino restaurant that actually is having a buffet, but you already know I had to get some of this on film because they had some beautiful plants. Now it did start raining, but for the sake of our plant foldies, I did want to show you all of the plants they have available. Again, this one is another variegated hibiscus. I really want to grow a variegated hibiscus, but I feel like a variegated hibiscus in my grow zone would just not grow as well. I don't know if it's just too hot, but I noticed that the variegation from these variegated hibiscus don't burn even though it is in full sun. Look at that white cream variegation. It is absolutely stunning. I just love variegated plants, but I just like seeing plants in general, plant foldies that are just thriving. And with the tropical climate like this, now it's raining, it's the same day, but it is raining. It's getting that high humidity, that rainwater is just phenomenal for these plants. I'm sure that they love the purified water, because when you think about how we grow plants at home, sometimes the plants end up just getting that tap water. It may not be the best water for them, but you can see that this restaurant has just all sorts of different types of plants. I'm not sure what that plant is. And then we also have some more plumerias right here. Those are not in bloom just yet. That is another tropical blooming flowering plant that we don't really see growing often unless it's in a container in the United States, just because it is a tropical plant. And you can see, look at this feast. It was so good. I love Filipino food. That's some lumpia, which is egg rolls. They've got adobo there. They've got caldereta there. They just had all sorts of really good food. They've got some grilled fish heads. They've got some noodles. And then I love the sauteed long green beans, as well as the eggplant and squash. They also had bitter gourd, which is one of my favorites, as well as tempura vegetables. So that was really good. Now I just wanted to take a little bit of time to show you some of these crotons. Again, crotons, I would say, is another plant that is super common. I would say that crotons are probably the plant of the hour as well when it comes to just a common plant that you'll see growing in the wild. So you've seen them in landscapes, but even in this restaurant, which is basically in an area that's just basically out in the jungle, you'll see these variegated plants here. I do like the fact that these leaves are super shiny and wet. It just kind of shows you what a plant looks like in its natural environment. It was raining pretty hard, and I was that silly person walking around filming this plant footage. So plant foldies, I really hope you guys enjoy the Philippine plant content. I did notice it's not getting pushed as much as some of my big box stores. So for those that have actually stayed around, watched my Philippine plant videos all the way through, really appreciate that watch time. I did work really hard. I mean, I did travel thousands of miles and more than 24 hours to get to this beautiful country to get you this footage. So hopefully my loyal plant foldies that really love my channel really appreciate this. And then for my new subscribers or new viewers, this is what it looks like in an actual tropical country. What all of those allocaceas that we have in our terracotta planters, this is what they look like when they are allowed to grow in their natural environment. You can see there's quite a bit, and this one's actually in bloom. So that's pretty interesting. And if you notice that ground cover plant right there is mostly homalamenas. Gotta love some homalamenas. And that's another plant that actually just volunteers itself to grow at anywhere. I mean, they literally just pop out anywhere. I remember being at BGC, for instance, that's in Manila, where it literally was just growing alongside the grass. And then also they've got some aglaonema in the ground here. So again, this is what you would see as a natural environment for our tropical plants that we call house plants that we grow indoors. So plant foldies, what do you think of that? I've taken you on an underground river journey. I've shown you guys some of these tropical plants. Hopefully I can get some commentary from you. I mean, I really do want to know what you guys think. It is raining extremely hard, but again, I don't mind getting this on footage, because this is probably what makes these plants thrive, because they get such purified rainwater. And it is rainy season in the Philippines, so I can totally understand that. But we're just gonna keep walking around and seeing what other plants they have available over here. lots of beautiful plants. I think that is some type of banana plant or maybe a bird of paradise. I'm not 100% sure. We do have a ton of alocasia, and I did want to feature this last plant, and this is a variegated rhapis palm. I really want to get one of these plants. I've never seen a variegated rhapis palm until I went to the Philippines, but this one is literally just growing and living its best life. It looks like it did get a little bit of mud on it, but it's such a beautiful plant. I would say rhapis palms are actually fairly easy to grow indoors because they are tolerate to lower light conditions as compared to most palms, but you can see that it is just living its best life. Variegated plants are as common as green plants in the Philippines. They're pretty much treated the same way. They're beautiful in their own regard. So I don't know, plant foldies. I've shown you quite a bit of plants today. I know this is probably a longer video. I am happy if you made it this far to my video, and you can see even here lots of alocasia just growing and just living their best life. It is raining extremely hard, but plant foldies, if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. It does help my videos out. This is Richie at Grow Folds. Please make sure you are subscribed to my channel with the notification bell on, so that way you will stay up to date with all of my new videos. I will definitely see you on the next one. Bye.